corporate communication. Today I have an interesting topic to be discussed, creativity of the art. So let's start.
So, what is creativity? Often people say that creativity is about thinking outside the box. Some people also say that creativity is about being innovative. Well, creativity has often been considered to be a competitive advantage and a central component for success in advertising and marketing. Let's take a look on the next slide, the definition about creativity. Let's connect it the relationship between creativity and public relation, or we can say creativity in public relation, which I'm going to explain on the next slide. The definition of creative is the act of turning new and imaginative idea into reality. Creativity is characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways, to find hidden patterns, to make connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena, and to generate solutions. Creativity involves two processes: thinking and then producing. So, if you have an idea but you don't act on them, you are imaginative but not creative. A definition for public relation practitioners. Basically, public relation works creates or manage change. A working definition of creativity must contain some form of process and an end product. Public relation is a dynamic process in operation within the wider society, and so some reference to its context should also be made. With this understanding, a working definition for public relation practitioners can be given as creativity is the ability each of us has to create something new by bringing together two or more different elements in a new context in order to provide added value to a task. Another thing says that a creative act consists of not only originating but also evaluating the added value it contributes. It is not novelty for its own sake, but it must produce some form of value that can be recognized by a third party. In a nutshell, creativity can be summarized as a flexible thinking around beautiful questions in quest for added value. The creative task to introduce incongruity to your thinking, plans, or products to add value. In order to elaborate on what is meant by bringing together different elements to create a synergy to provide added value, the tables on this slide gives some simple examples. Now, who decides what is added value? If creativity is adding value, who decides the measure of the added value? The answer lies in the context of the creative act. The examples of public relation practitioner in producing a press release will reveal how the added value within a creative piece of work can vary according to its context. On the next slide, I will explain three different contexts to illustrate the point. Here are the three different contexts to illustrate the point. Context 1, the PR agency. The draft release presented for approval to a senior manager or client may appear to have added value as a result of some creative element within it. In these examples, the practitioners may have previously had problem in getting material approved for being regarded as insufficiently creative. They now regard their new work as a truly creative because its added value has enabled them to achieve a key objective. In this instance, that of providing their abilities to their manager or client. Context 2, overloaded media. When the news release is subsequently issued to the media, the story may bomb, perhaps as a result of a large number of other major news stories at the same time. The creative element inherent in the news release may appear to have had insufficient added value as it failed to be used by its target, which is the media. So context 3, underused media. Maybe a year later, exactly the same news story could be updated and reissued at a quiet news time. As a result, it may achieve extensive coverage. In this new context, the added value may appear quite significant. It is exactly the same creative product, but in a different context. Its value has varied considerably according to the different contexts. Creative people can, however, act like the currency speculator, identifying which currencies are currently valuable and which are likely to change in value. By understanding that creative product must offer added value and appreciating that the measure of the added value may vary depending on the context it is presented within. Creative practitioners can at least seek to maximize the creative value of their work. They may recognize that some contexts will be more lucrative than others. Let's talk about creativity versus innovation. As this is a public relations study on the subject of creativity, it is only right there should be some public relations effort to create a greater understanding on behalf of the subject of creativity itself. The word creativity has what may be called as a touchy-feely nature to it, not really suitable for the hard work of business, but yet mention the word of innovation and suddenly the act of creating new ideas takes on a more credible resonance in certain quarters, such as the business media. Creativity is a thinking process that helps us generate ideas, while innovation can be instead defined as the adoption, adaptation, or implementation by a third party of someone's creativity. Next will be creativity thinking versus non-creative thinking. What is the difference between creative thinking and a non-creative thinking? The answer is none, as they both use the same mechanics of combining different elements to create something new. It is the value achieved that differentiates them. Non-creative thinking combines different elements but will apply exactly the same combination of elements previously used. The creative person will display more originality in the sourcing and choice of items to combine, or in their permutation, or in the context in which the combination of elements is used, and may even challenge the context itself. As a result, the creative thinker has potential to achieve added value in contrast to the so-called non-creative thinker. The summary of this chapter will be: first, creativity has previously been defined as an individual skill, a process, the product of combining two or more elements, and by the different value placed upon the creative products. Second, there is nothing wrong in borrowing or reusing an idea. All ideas are presented in a new context. Third, added value is the fundamental element of anything that is defined as a creative. The measure of this added value is determined by its context. Fourth, creative thinking uses the same mechanism as a non-creative thinking. Fifth, innovation is the use by a third party of a creative product. Sixth, creative public relation practitioners have to work within the brand values.
And your plane is banking right. You reduce the engine. You reduce engine 1 and increase engine 2.
Hey, how you doing, big guy? Yay. What do you want to fly?
The Airbus A380 simulator.
A380. Clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff. Here we go, baby. V1.
Rotate. Pull.
Level. This is hard.
Ready?
Now the nose is going down. God. That's your disconnect APU. And this is mine.
Ready for the approach?
Yeah.
Yes. Push it down. All right.
If we overshoot the runway, I'm gonna have to shout, go around.
Yes.
500,
Stable. We're approaching over the highway.
30, 20,
10.
retard.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Abu Dhabi and thank you for choosing Etihad.
In the book of Creativity in Public Relations, Andy Green gave more than 20 examples of creativity as a tactical tools that public relation practitioners can use. I will take 3 of the examples that I'm going to explain. I will start with creativity by improving a news release without altering a word on it. It is very possible to make a news release more creative without even altering a single word. We have to think outside the box and recognize that the release doesn't just consist of words, but also the paper it's written on. Why not change the format of the paper or even make the release smell? For example, if you are running an anti-smoking campaign, you can make the news release think of tobacco smoke to highlight one of the negative effects of the cigarettes. So do not always assume that a press release is just some step text, but be creative in extending its features and functions. Next is creative use of a personal name. We all know Walker's crisps, or we usually call it Walker's potato chips, which is originally from UK. So the story is when Walker's crisps wanted to launch an improved flavor to their salt and vinegar crisps, they obtained added value in the promotion by devising a new name for the product. They creatively linked the product with the former England footballer Gary Lineker. So by coming up with the new name, Salt and Lineker, they generated considerable additional consumer interest and publicity opportunities, which is these days we see a lot of big company has collaboration with some athletes or celebrity. Something like Adidas Stan Smith, where we all know Stan Smith is a tennis player back on the 80s. And there are some other examples of the collaboration between athletes and big company. Creativity in event sponsorship. Creative sponsorship can breathe new life into even the most well-established of products, such as Etihad Airways. For example, is Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix, which always held the race of season finale every year since 2009, where Etihad Airways is the main sponsorship on the event. It is successful in promoting the values of Etihad brand and showcasing their home city of Abu Dhabi to a massive global audience. As a part of the partnerships, Etihad will continue to promote the event globally through its various communication channels and the marketing programs. The airlines also continues to fly its Formula One branded aircraft to some certain destination across its network. Green light or red light thinking. For green light thinking, the color is like that in a traffic light. It is useful for symbolizing that anything can go, where the accent is on positively encouraging as many ideas as possible, whatever their status or validity. The red light thinking is a sober analysis of what will or will not work. It is very straightforward that it is the stop sign. The rational mode of thinking for evaluating the relative merits of a proposal will be explained on the below table, which will highlight the different characteristics of these two models of thinking. By having a clear understanding of the distinction between the two types of thinking, a public relation practitioner can make far more productive use of time and employ techniques to a greater effect, generating more and varied creative ideas that offer added value.
Ayakum, welcome on board. My name is Danilo. I will be your butler today. Allow me to give you a behind-the-scenes tour of the residence. This is your private bathroom, your shower, and everything you may need. let me know when you would like to rest so I can prepare the bed for you. Thank you for joining me today on this exclusive tour of the residence on Etihad Way.
So, how has the notion of the big idea come about? Inventions are perfected by step-by-step improvements, and each step is itself an invention. The trick to PR creativity and creating new ideas is not how we think up the instant big ideas, but rather what we can do to generate little ideas which can later be combined in some way to be presented as a big idea. Dare to be different is the key. Have you watched the Etihad Residence video advertisements? Etihad is known as the only airlines that have this idea. It is one bedroom apartment with a bedroom, living room, and a lavatory, and of course with your own private shower. All to yourself. Resident passengers are treated to amenities like private butler service, customized menu by your private onboard chef, and of course, exclusive airport lunch that you don't have to share with anyone else. The creative process. Joseph Wallace believed that the creative process had 4 phases, which are a preparatory stage, followed by incubation, illumination, and lastly, verification. Joseph Rossman formulated 7 stages of the creative process, which are observation of need or difficulty, analysis of need, survey of all available information, a formulation of all objective solution, a critical analysis of the solution for their advantages and disadvantages, the birth of the new idea, we can call it the invention, experimentation to test out the most promising solution. Morris Ten more recently established a 3-stage model, which are hypothesis formation, hypothesis testing, and communication of result. To help public relations practitioners have an effective, comprehensive, and memorable model to use in understanding and harnessing the creative process, Andy Green in this book devised a mnemonic, the 5 I's of the creative process, which are information, incubation, illumination, integration, and illustration. In this slide, I would like to explain a little bit about the creative process of the 5 I's. Starting from the first stage, which is information. There are 2 elements to this first stage of the creative process of information. One is gathering the relevant information to assist with the task in hand. The second is posing the right question of 5 W's, which are who, what, when, where, and why. The second stage will be incubation. Incubation occurs when the individual sets the problem aside for a while and does something else that is unrelated to it. Alan Priest reflected as that he sometimes tried to solve a problem by not trying to solve it. This incubation stage is very interesting. It seems like we are ignoring the problem. Well, actually, as well as being a good tool for creativity, the incubation process is also useful in time management. We can practice while we are writing our daily list of things to do. Do it at the end of the day rather than first thing in the morning. So the idea is by revisiting the list in the morning, further ideas will have emerged overnight as a result of incubation. And so we can highlight new tasks or emphasize different priorities. The third stage will be illumination. The moment of illumination can happen unexpected at any time and at anywhere. So the tips for this stage of illumination: always carry your notepad at any time to record the idea. The fourth stage will be integration. Ideas are generated while the creator is working in medium, in what can be called the integration stage of the creative process. Now the question is, what does it mean of working in medium? When we are truly concentrating on our thoughts and attention on performing a task, such as writing a press release, that means we are living and breathing within that medium. At the information, incubation, and illumination stages, usually we have this in mind, that an image that we want to capture. So by working in our particular medium, as a public relation practitioner, we can provide added value through the execution of the idea in this integration stage. The last stage is illustration. PR practitioners do manage this stage of creative process to a maximum effect. That means that we have to legitimizing the source of the idea. We have to watch the timing, translating the idea, keeping within brand values, and presenting within the context of relationship.
So from Nagoya, Japan, I would like to thank you for watching my video, the presentation of the topic creativity and public relation. Arigatou gozaimasu.